Hello and good morning. This is Mr. Happy here for the Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn 101 Pugilist class overview. Wow, that is so difficult to say. Here, basically what I'm doing in the 101 series is I'm going to be covering all the classes in Beta Phase 3, and I'm going to be showing how they're currently tuned and to give people a better idea of if they want to play them or not. Before I jump into the abilities though, let me just say this video contains no audio or video of the actual game. That would be a breach of the non-disclosure agreement currently in place by Square Enix, and as I fully respect that, this example will be done via screenshot. So let's, without further ado, jump right into it. Allow me to change my screen region here real quick. Ignore this Logitech webcam controller. It'll probably come back at some point in the video. It's very annoying. So here's the action and traits menu for Pugilist. Actions are abilities that you will actively use in combat, and traits are passive things that will enhance your ability and your character overall. So, without further ado, let's jump into Boot Shine. Level 1, 60 TP, has a base potency of 130. Now, this is very complicated, so try not to lose me here, and try to keep track of everything. Now, Boot Shine has a potency of 130, and it changes your form to what is known as Raptor form for 10 seconds, and there it has come back. Basically, Pugilist shifts between three forms, Raptor, Coral, and Oppo, and each one grants additional effects and allows certain abilities to be used. So you have to carefully manage how you go between each form. At low levels it's very easy, but at later levels it becomes quite difficult to maintain. So this one changes you to Raptor form, but if you use it while in Oppo form, it will grant an automatic critical strike if you deal the attack from behind. So it's a very team-oriented ability. It won't be too easy to use while soloing. So let's move on to True Strike. True Strike has a potency of 150, and it's only usable in Raptor form, which means you have to use something that activates Raptor form first, such as Boot Shine, before you can actually use the ability. When you use it in Raptor form, it gives you a 5% increase in crit chance when you're behind the enemy. So you'll have an increased crit chance with this ability when you're behind when you use it. And it changes you into Corel form. Now we'll get back to Corel form. Let me talk about Featherfoot first. It's just a basic ability. It increases your evasion rate by 15% for 10 seconds. It's a very basic ability, and it is very in tune with some of the other abilities that Pugilist has. Next you have Snap Punch, which is a potency of 140. And the potency goes up to 180 if you hit them on the side, or as they call it, the flank. So you want to be standing on the side when you use it. You want to take the time to reposition and use it. It's only usable in Corel form, so you have to use something like True Strike before it can be activated. And when you use it, it puts you in Oppo form, which basically completes the low-level trifecta of Boot Shine, True Strike, Snap Punch, and Repeat. Also, whenever you use Snap Punch, you will gain the effect of Grease Lightning, which increases your damage by 7% and your attack speed by 5%. This lasts for 12 seconds, and we are going to get into Grease Lightning a lot more later as we discuss passives. Second Wind grants you 15% of your maximum HP. It heals you for that much instantly. It has a bit of a long cooldown, but it's not too long, so just try to save it for an important situation. Haymaker is an ability from 1.0, and basically you can only use it after evading an attack, so it works very much in tune with Featherfoot. In this version, it deals 170 potency, and it slows the enemy's attack speed excuse me, by 20% for 12 seconds. The next ability, Internal Release, you learn at level 12, just increases your critical hit rate by 20% for 15 seconds. A very good damage buff. Twin Snakes, the next ability you learn at 18, it gives you a potency of 100. It's 140 if it's delivered on the side, similar to Snap Punch. And it can only be used in Raptor form, so now you have to decide between going into True Strike from Boot Shine or Twin Snakes. When you use Twin Snakes, you will also gain a buff that increases your damage by 5% for 12 seconds. So now you have Greased Lightning and Twin Snakes, two buffs that you have to maintain constantly back and forth, and this is where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. So anyway, moving on, you have... Oh, and it changes your form to Corel, in case you're wondering. So Corel form, it actually, if it changes your form to Corel, then that means that you can go Boot Shine, Twin Snake, Snap Punch, which would be better than True Strike under most circumstances. It does less damage than True Strike, but it has more utility overall. So it's a very nice way to weave in the abilities and make some more useful than others. Next you have Fists of Earth, just reduces the damage you take by 10%. However, it cannot be used in conjunction with Fists of Wind or Fist of Fire, and it'll last upon reusing. So basically, these are fists that you're going to have for different situations, depending on what's most applicable. As you can see from this list, Fist of Fire is not here. It is a monk-only ability, and we can only assume it will increase the damage you deal by a certain percentage. So Fist of Earth, we covered that. Arm of the Destroyers next, and it's an AoE of a 50 potency, so it's not that strong. If you're an Opal form, however, it silences for 1 second, so it could be really good for giant groups of AoE enemies that cast to get them to move towards your tank and just to get them in a much more ideal situation. And it changes your form to Raptor. Fist of Wind increases your movement speed until reused, and again, you cannot use it in conjunction with Fist of Earth or Fist of Fire. Next is Steel Peak. It has a potency of 150 and it has a 4-second stun, so it's its own ability. You don't need to be in a form, and it's just a nice stun with a decent damage potency. Next you have Mantra. This one says it increases the target's HP recovery via curing magic by 15% for 15 seconds. Now, because I'm not level 34 and I can't test it yet, it sounds like you can cast it on somebody, but until further notice, as far as I'm concerned, it just makes you able to be cured more. If not, then it would be a great utility spell for monks to have to use on a party member that desperately needs healing. Howling Fist does damage in a straight line, not for very long, but it does damage in a straight line, so it's kind of like an AoE, and it does a lot of damage. It has a potency of 190, but it has a 5-minute cooldown, so you have to use it very, very carefully on certain fights because it's a very high damage AoE, and it can be used to clear out weak enemies very, very easily. It's going to be very fun. And their level 50 ability is Perfect Balance. It allows weapon skill use to be independent of the form you're in for 10 seconds. So it allows you to use Boot Shine, True Strike, Snap Punch, Twin Snakes, Arm of the Destroyer, and any abilities that the monks might get that are form dependent. Regardless of what form you're in, there's no form requirement for any of them. Now, that's not to say that they still get their form bonuses. There's no confirming that. You might still need to string them together in a certain way in order to get the bonuses that are specific. But at least you can use them. Maybe you can use Snap Punch, get the Greased Lightning up, and do Twin Snakes, get that up, and then go back into your rotation. But now let's get into the traits, because the traits change the way that the class is played pretty significantly. I have a new screenshot right here of the traits. Now, as you can see, Enhanced Strength simply gives you more strength as your Pugilist. You know, nothing fancy. Now we have Enhanced Featherfoot. Simply increases your evasion rate to 25% for the duration. But this is where things get interesting. Enhanced Greased Lightning lets you stack Greased Lightning up to 2. So now you have to stack it twice and keep those stacks maintained while you're doing the rest of your fighting. So it's a very, very in-depth mechanic that you have to be paying attention to at all times during battle, especially when you're choosing what cooldowns you want to use. Next, we have Enhanced Twin Snakes, which improves the damage increase to 10%. Now you have even more of a reason to weave in Twin Snakes into your build, because the 10% damage increase, that's a lot of damage when you combined with Greased Lightning. So you're going to have to really weave those together in the correct way to be most effective. Third Wind increases the effectiveness of Second Wind to 25% of your max HP. So it means that when Pugilists use it, it's going to be better than when any other class uses it, essentially. Next, we have Enhanced Internal Release, which increases the critical hit chance bonus to 30%. So it's a 10% increase from the base. It's obviously, can't complain about that. More crit chance, more damage, more burst, better. Next, you have Enhanced Greased Lightning 2. This lets you get to a 3rd stack, so now you have to manage it even better. I am just so excited for that mechanic. I love the idea of that Greased Lightning stack, as well as weaving the abilities in and out. Next, you have Mithril Peak. Simply shortens the recast time of Steel Peak, which was your stun ability, to 40 seconds, initially a 60-second cooldown. And finally, have Enhanced Mantra. Now, this one I feel like is mistranslated or misworded. It says that it increases it to 10% when the base is 15%. So I can assume what it means to say is that it increases the HP recovery by curing on the target to 25%. Those are all the actions and traits of Pugilist. Obviously, this doesn't cover the abilities that Monk will have. And, you know, Monk is going to have Fist of Fire. It's going to have even more form-changing abilities, 100 Fists, a lot of things that we can expect. And it's just very interesting. This is definitely one of my more favored classes to play, but I am definitely going to be looking at all of them before I make a decision. I have almost everything at 50 anyway, so the world is my oyster. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like, favorite, subscribe, share, especially if you have a friend who wants to know a little bit more about Pugilist, because this is definitely the place to go for that information. Also, check out my Facebook page at www.facebook.com/MrHappy1227. Link is in the description below. You can go there, speak with the community. You can ask me questions. You can send me messages. You can do anything there. Do whatever you want there. I will be sure to stop by and check it out. Thank you for watching. Again, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos today, so stay tuned.